Boy Kwame Kreku, current head media correspondent for Mott Magazine, and former CSU Charleston Southern wide receiver. I'm originally from Orangeburg, South Carolina, small town outside of the state capital, Columbia. Home of some great athletes, man. You know, started playing sports at an early age, maybe like age 5 or 6. Um, Everything from football, basketball. I ran track. Um, Pretty much did it all, man. My mom wanted us to stay active, stay out of trouble. So I did it all. I actually graduated December of 2010. So I actually finished college in 4.5 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's next semester. Instead of going to school, I was gonna go. I already graduate. But I would walk in May. I would go somewhere, to train. So I talked to my mom. So she was like, well, if you want to chase your dream, go ahead. I'll help you out as much as I can. So I found a place which was a great place, Velocity Sports Performance. It was in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And it was real expensive. I think it was like $77 an hour. You know what I'm saying? It was real expensive. That's why I told you, when these guys go to these big schools, they pay $5,000 and $6,000 and $7,000, for 2 or 3 months of training. By the day before I went and trained, before I was gonna go to my pro day, I ran. They tested me the week of. Man, I killed it. Man, I ran 4.46, 4.44 in the 40, which was that's a good time. Ran broad jump, almost 11 feet, 10.7, 10.8. Shoot, my pro shuttle, I was low fours, 4.0. 4.0 seconds, 4.1, 3.9s a couple times. L drill, man, was my drill. And my L drill was some of the best. I recorded some of the best times that. That was even at the National Football League Combine that year. And I was 6.54, 6.69, which was elite times. I ended up going, I think it was Benedict College. They had a pro day. A couple teams came out. It was a small school. Maybe 3 or 4 teams came out. I worked out for them. I had a solid day, but they really didn't give us the chance to really really run routes and do a bunch of different things. They was kind of in and out. So it was kind of dang, I was back to square one. And then I forgot to mention, during that time I came out, 2010 was the same year they had the NFL lockout. Man. So they had the NFL lockout. So a lot of the teams were having late pro days, and they really was focusing on trying to get that taken care of, and and they were really focusing on going to the bigger schools, the Miami, the Florida, the Georgia, the Alabama, the Oregon, the USC, and stuff like that. So the small schools, they were like, okay, we'll get to them if we get to them. And so yeah, it was kind of after that, I was kind of a little discouraged, not kind of sort of, yeah, I was kind of sort of discouraged, because I was like, dang, man, they really give me a chance for all this training I was doing, all the work I was putting in, the money I invested. I just feel so I was like, well, what am I gonna do, man? I got a call from Coach Pat Pastoria. He was the offensive coordinator and recruiting coordinator for Chicago Slaughter up in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. He called me. He's like, hey, we want to bring you into camp. Camp starts, February 1st. So boom. So up at that time, I was just training, working hard. I was like, all right, cool. I was ecstatic. Opportunity to play football again. But what ended up happening was, by the end of camp, I made it through last final cuts. And they ended up releasing me because it was me, and then there was another guy that, he was actually from Illinois. He was local. So he would be staying at his own place, and they didn't have to cover housing, so they could free up some money. So, I ended up, head back home, another stumbling block. So I had a workout out in Northern California, bro. San Jose. Man, so I ended up flying out to San Jose, California, work out with the San Jose SaberCats. This was actually a step up from the Chicago League. It was Arena One. These, Arena One, AFL One, if guys familiar with it. They actually played on national television. Had to work out with them. Workout went good. They said, they were gonna call me back. So they ended up calling me back. Maybe a couple months later. So I went up there. I played a few playmaker, a gamer, like maybe like 2 or 3 games I think, and ended up season was going downhill, so they just started releasing and getting ready things. So once again, I was back on the block. I was semi take the agents and stuff, and they was like, man, dang man, like if you was coming out of college this year, I would have you in NFL camp. So it was never a fact whether I was good enough to play. It was just the breaks and stuff. I just kept getting bad breaks in certain areas and stuff where it just things I couldn't defeat. I don't know what it was, and then they come to find out, it just probably wasn't meant to be. I had one last shot. Found out about I sent my tape out. Found out about this new league that they was having called the Professional Development League, PFL, which is, like I said, Professional Development Football League. And it was kind of like the NBDL, National Development League for basketball. So, I thought it was cool. They had leagues, Georgia something, I forgot what it was. So they had a workout, like a workout, trial workout up here in Atlanta. So something happened where like they canceled the league. Like I found this out maybe like January sometime, mid-January. They canceled the league and they weren't gonna have the league no more. So like, I'm like, bro, like, what? All this working I'm doing on training, like they canceled the league. So by that time, bro, I'm like, man, dang, man, like, I don't know, like, I'm thinking it just wasn't meant to be. Went and thought it through, and I was like, all right. I had a degree in mass communication, broadcast journalism, radio and television. That was my degree. So I was like, I always said if I didn't play in the NFL, I wanted to be like a sports broadcaster, or something in sports, I guess, reporter, whatever. And so I'm like, at that point in time, I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? So I was like, all right, forget it. That's what I'm gonna do. So I hopped on social media, best thing. Started hashtagging events in Atlanta. So I was like, all right. Went to my first event. I think some radio station had an event. I got down there, got to the radio event. Met, I think the girl who was hosting it, I don't know how I found it. I got her information. And she told me, hey, this is the exact address, blah, blah. I was like, I wanted to come. So I kept emailing her. She finally sent me the address. We went. I told her, I was like, hey, just moved here. I'm a communication major. This is what I want to do, blah, blah. And she was like, all right, well, take my information, blah, blah. She took information, we kept in contact. Never forget, one day she called me. She was like, hey, stay ready. You ain't got to get ready, right? I was like, yeah. It's like, I'm about to do my own thing. I want you to be a part of it. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to have a meeting, such and such. All right, cool. I'm on board. I'm excited, So I was like, you know what, man? I'm going to do my own thing. So I came up with a few ideas, what I want to do, like a series of interviews pertaining to athletes, just get people to understand, let's call it the sweat, the athlete's lifestyle. That was going to, like, dictate, like, what athletes got to go through as far as, like, the training and mindset and mental focus and stuff to being a professional athlete and being an athlete, period. So, I met a guy who actually worked with me doing on the same production team. He did the photography and video work for the same young lady that was working with, a guy named Jared Rainey. So I told him about the idea I had. He was like, yo, that's a good idea. Only person doing that is ESPN. He's like, yo, if you need some video work or photography work, I got you. I'm like, word, that's what's up. So he was like, yo, I got this magazine too. And I'm starting this, my magazine is for models and photographers. I was like, word. I was like, okay, cool. So then I started thinking, I was like, you know what, man? I'm willing to work with you on it. Let's decide, let's make it a lifestyle magazine. Let's focus on doing the up and coming in music, sports, philanthropy, and everything, not just models and photography. Like, yo, that's a good idea. So long story short, that was pretty much the resurrection of Mott Magazine. We going on a year and a half now, year and a few months. I got over 30 plus interviews under my belt with a bunch of different up-and-coming artists, but a bunch of different celebrities from Atlanta, celebrities in music and entertainment. I've hosted events in Atlanta. I've hosted red carpet events. I've covered the red carpet. I've hosted the red carpet at big events, the BET, United Negro College Fund. And this is all within a year, man. So, but I said I was going to come to Atlanta and I was going to hit the ground running, and that's what I did.